Rena had always been quiet. She never liked crowded places, never raised her voice, and always kept her thoughts inside. She was born on Earth, in a small farming town where people knew each other by name. But now, she was on a ship flying through space, heading to a place called Station Helios. Her heart beat fast as she looked out the small, round window of the shuttle. The stars seemed so close, like they were watching her. The blackness of space made her feel small. She held her bag tightly. Inside were her clothes, a small notebook, and a letter from her mother telling her to be brave. Rena had been accepted into a research program on Station Helios. It was a medical center run by the allied planets. Many alien species worked there. They helped people, studied diseases, and trained young minds. Rena had come to learn, to grow, but she was nervous. This was her first time off Earth. The shuttle landed smoothly on the docking bay. The other passengers, mostly aliens, stood up calmly. One of them smiled at her, a tall, blue-skinned woman with silver eyes. Rena gave a tiny smile back, but quickly looked away. She walked out of the shuttle, following the signs. The air smelled clean, almost too clean. The walls were bright white, and the floor glowed gently under her feet. Robots rolled by, humming softly. Everything looked so perfect, like a dream at the entrance. A staff member scanned her ID. He was a robot with a human-like voice. Rena Malik, age 19, Earthborn. Assigned to Medical Learning Unit 3, he said. Report to Dr. Yaren at Lab Hall 7. Rena nodded. Thank you, she whispered. She followed the map on her wristband and walked through wide hallways filled with screens showing news from across the galaxy. There were pictures of planets, alien languages, and once even a human general giving a speech. When she reached Lab Hall 7, the doors slid open. The room was large and full of bright machines. There were long tables, floating scanners, and shelves filled with strange tools. A few students, some human, some alien, stood near the back, and then he walked in. Dr. Yaren. Rena had expected an old man, maybe gray hair, a long coat, and slow steps. But the man who entered looked barely older than her. He had short, dark hair, sharp eyes, and walked with quiet confidence. He wore a clean black uniform with silver stripes. A small badge on his chest showed his rank, lead medical officer. The other students stared. Even the aliens looked surprised. Rena froze. Dr. Yaren looked at them and smiled kindly. Welcome, he said. I'm Dr. Yaren, your instructor for the first 6 weeks. I know what you're thinking, he added, his smile turning playful. Yes, I am young, but I'm not here because of luck. I earned my place. One student raised a hand. It true you designed the blood-matching tech used on the war front? Dr. Yaren nodded. I did, at age 16. His voice was calm, not proud, just honest. And now, I'm here to teach you. Rena stood at the back, her hands behind her back. She didn't say a word. She just listened. Dr. Yaren explained their tasks. They would assist in real patient care, study alien biology, and even take part in emergency drills. Station. Helios is not just a school, he said. It's a frontline medical hub. Be ready. A bed, a desk, a round window, and a closet. She sat on the bed and looked at the stars again. She thought about Dr. Yaren. How could someone so young be so skilled? He didn't act like the rich or proud geniuses she had read about. He was calm, strong, quiet, but not shy like her. The next day, their training began. Rena tried her best to follow instructions. She took notes, asked quiet questions, and listened closely. She worked slower than the others, but she made no mistakes. One afternoon, Dr. Yaren noticed her scanning a complex chart of alien blood types. He stopped behind her and watched. She didn't see him at first. You're careful, he said. Rena jumped. Oh, I'm sorry, doctor. No need to be sorry, he said. Being careful saves lives. She looked at him and nodded, her face red. You're from Earth, right? He asked. Yes. A small town. I was born on Titan. Grew up alone. He paused. Shy people see more than they speak. That's not a weakness. Rena was surprised. She looked at him again, but this time with a little less fear. Later that night, she wrote in her notebook, Dr. Yaren is not just a doctor. He's something more. There's a story behind him. I can feel it. She didn't know how right she was, because far above them, in the deepest part of Station Helios, a secret was waiting. A secret that involved Dr. Yaren, a hidden experiment, and the reason he became the youngest medical genius in history. And soon, Rena would be part of it. Days passed quickly on Station Helios. Rena followed the same routine classes in the morning, lab training in the afternoon, and quiet evenings in her small room, but she still spoke very little. She stayed near the back of every group. She liked it that way. Dr. Yaren continued to teach them every day. He was calm, clear, and smart. He never shouted. Rena noticed how other staff members looked at him with respect and maybe a little fear. She wondered why. One evening, after class, Rena stayed behind in the lab to finish organizing medical vials. She was careful, slow, and focused. Everyone else had left. The lab lights dimmed, showing it was after hours. Rena didn't mind. She liked the silence. As she placed the last vial into the cooling tray, she heard a soft click behind one of the storage walls. At first, she thought it was just a machine, but then she saw something strange. A small section of the wall had opened, almost like a hidden door. She froze. No one had ever told them about secret doors in the lab. Curious, she walked closer. The opening was narrow, just enough for a person to slip through. Inside it was dark, but small blue lights glowed along the floor. Her heart pounded. She should report it. But something told her to just look. Only for a second. Rena stepped through the door. The air inside felt cooler. The walls were smooth metal, with panels of blinking lights. She followed the path quietly, making sure to remember her way back. The hallway turned left, then right, then down a small ramp. Then she saw a room ahead. It was large and filled with machines she had never seen before. In the center stood a tall, clear tank filled with glowing green liquid. Floating inside was something strange, almost human, but not quite. Its skin was pale, its eyes closed, and wires were connected to its head and arms. Rena's breath caught in her throat. What was this place? Suddenly, she heard footsteps. She quickly stepped behind a large cabinet and held her breath. Dr. Yaren entered the room. He walked straight to the tank, looked up at the figure inside, and sighed. You're still not ready, he said quietly. But we're running out of time. He pressed a few buttons on the control pad. The lights on the tank flashed. Rena was frozen. She didn't know what to think. Why was Dr. Yaren here? What was this strange creature in the tank? Was it a patient? A test subject? Dr. Yaren spoke again. The council can't know. If they find out, they'll shut everything down. Rena's eyes widened. What was he hiding from the council? Yaren stood there for a moment longer, then turned and walked out. The lights in the room dimmed again. Rena waited until his footsteps were gone. She quickly stepped out from her hiding place, her heart still racing. As she looked at the tank one more time, the figure inside floated silently, like in deep sleep. She left the room and followed the path. Back to the lab. The hidden door closed behind her, as if it had never been there. That night, Rena couldn't sleep. She sat on her bed, staring at the stars outside her window. Her notebook lay open beside her, but she didn't write anything. Her mind was full of questions. What was that room? Or what was inside the tank? Why was Dr. Yaren hiding it? She wanted to forget what she saw. She wanted to pretend everything was normal. But deep down, she knew this was important. The next day in class, she couldn't focus. Yaren was teaching about alien immune systems, but Rena barely heard him. Are you feeling okay? She nodded quickly. Yes, doctor. You seem distracted. She tried to smile, just tired. Yaren looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, Sometimes the quietest ones see the most. Rena looked up at him, surprised. Did he know she had followed him? Before she could say anything, another student came in with a question, and the moment passed. Later that evening, Rena returned to the lab. She told herself she wasn't going to open the door again, but her feet walked toward it anyway. She stood in front of the wall where the door had appeared. She touched the panel softly. Nothing happened. She waited. Still nothing. Maybe it only opened for Dr. Yaren. She turned to leave, but then the wall clicked again. Slowly, the hidden door opened. This time, she wasn't sure if it was a good idea to go inside again. But her curiosity was stronger than her fear. She stepped in. Everything looked the same. The dark hallway, the blue floor lights, the cold air. She reached the room again, but this time the tank was empty. The creature inside was gone. Rena's blood ran cold. She walked slowly to the control pad. The screen flashed a message, Project Nova, Independent Stage, active. She didn't understand what it meant. But she felt something wasn't right suddenly. The lights flickered. A soft voice spoke behind her. You shouldn't be here. Rena turned sharply. It was Dr. Yaren, but his eyes were glowing. Rena stood still, her heart beat loudly in her chest. The lights in the hidden room flickered again. Dr. Yaren stood in the doorway, but something was different. His calm face was the same, his uniform the same, but his eyes were glowing softly, a light blue color that looked almost not human. You shouldn't be here, Yaren, said again, stepping forward. I was just. Rena's voice trembled. She couldn't finish her sentence. Dr. Yaren looked at the control pad, then at the empty tank behind her. He sighed. So you saw it, he said. His voice calm but serious. Rena nodded slowly. Yaren stepped beside the tank and turned off the blinking screen. The soft blue light in his eyes began to fade until they looked normal again. It didn't want anyone to find this place yet, he said. But maybe it's time you know the truth. Rena took a step back. Are you human? Yaren looked at her carefully, then gave a small smile. Yes and no. Rena didn't understand. He continued, I was born human, but I was part of something. Something big, something secret, a project called Nova. He walked slowly around the room, speaking as if telling a story. 10 years ago. During the Great War between the human colonies and the Zarnax Empire, Earth's leaders feared they were falling behind. They wanted to create the next step in human evolution, stronger minds, faster learning, sharper thinking. I was selected for the test. Rena listened silently, her eyes wide. They changed my body using alien technology, Yaren said. Improved my brain, added light responsive sensors in my eyes. That's why they glow sometimes. I became the first test subject to survive. The others, they didn't make it. He paused. His face looked heavy with old memories. I was only 14, Rena gasped softly. They trained me, taught me everything: fast science, medicine, tactics. When the war ended, they didn't know what to do with me, so I disappeared. I came here to Station Helios, used my skills to help others, and to hide this room. But why hide it? Rena asked quietly. Because Project Nova isn't over, Yaren said. That being in the tank was the second subject. A clone built from human and alien DNA, more powerful but unstable. I kept it here to protect others, and now it's missing. Rena looked at the empty tank, fear growing inside her. Where did it go? I don't know yet, Yaren said. But if it wakes up without full control, it could be dangerous. A quiet alarm suddenly beeped on his wrist. Yaren checked it and frowned. There's been a breach in the storage wing. His voice turned sharp. Come with me. Are you all ready? No, too much. I can't leave you alone now. Rena followed him quickly through the hidden hallway. The door to the lab opened. They stepped back into the main area. Lights flashed red. Sirens began to hum across the station. All medical staff, report to emergency level 1, said the voice over the speaker. Repeat, emergency level 1. Yaren moved fast, like a soldier. Stay close, he told Rena. They rushed through the halls. People were running, some aliens shouting in their own languages. A few security droids passed them, rolling toward the danger. At the end of the hallway, the storage wing was in chaos. The wall had been blasted open. Strange green mist filled the room. Yaren stepped forward, scanning with his device. Rena stayed, behind him, holding her breath. Then she saw it. A figure standing in the smoke, tall, thin. Its skin was light gray with soft lines glowing across its arms. It had no hair. Its eyes were like stars, bright and full of power. It looked at them, and it smiled. Yaren stepped in front of Rena. "That's subject 2, he said softly. "It's awake." The figure tilted its head. "You left me in that tank for years," it said. Its voice was smooth, almost too perfect. "Now I am free." "You're not ready," Yaren said. "Your mind is unstable." "I know more than you think," the being replied. "I watched your every move. I copied your thoughts. I am better than you now." Rena whispered, "Can it hear us?" "Yes," Yaren said. "It learns fast. It's part of the design." The being stepped forward. Security droids raised their weapons, but Yaren raised a hand. "Don't shoot. It will only make things worse." The being looked at Rena. "You're different," it said. "Not afraid like the others." Rena's legs were shaking, but she didn't run. She looked straight at it. "Why did you leave the tank?" she asked, her voice shaking. The being paused. "Because I wanted to see what I am. I wanted to be more than a test." Yaren slowly stepped closer. "Let us help you. Can still teach you, guide you." The being shook its head. "You want to control me? Like they controlled you." Then, in a flash, it disappeared. It moved so fast that no one saw where it went. Alarm screamed again. Yaren turned to Rena. "We have a problem," she nodded, her fear now mixed with something else, determination. "What do we do now?" she asked. "We find it," Yaren said, "before the station finds out and tries to destroy it, and before it hurts anyone." Rena looked into his eyes, no longer glowing but full of worry. She knew this was just the beginning. The secret of Project Nova was out, and she was now part of it. The air on Station Helios felt heavy. Red lights blinked across the ceiling, and a deep humming sound filled the halls. Rena stood beside Dr. Yaren in the quiet hallway outside the broken storage wing. Behind them, the wall was still smoking from the blast where Subject 2 had escaped. Yaren looked down at the device on his wrist. It showed a map of the station. A red dot blinked, moving slowly through the lower levels. "It's heading toward the tech labs," he said. "Why?" Rena asked, still trying to stay calm. Yaren walked fast, and Rena followed. "It must be searching for data," he said. "It wants to learn. That's what it was made for, copy, grow, evolve." As they moved through the station, workers and security rushed by. No one noticed Rena and Yaren. Everyone was too busy. Trying to understand what was happening, they reached a lift and stepped inside. Yaren pressed a secret code. The lift moved down past the public levels, past even the research zones. Rena looked at him. "He said the station would destroy it." "Why?" "Because it's powerful," Yaren replied. "Too powerful. The council doesn't trust anything that can't be controlled. If they find out Subject 2 escaped, they'll send in soldiers. And if they fail..." He paused. "They'll destroy this whole section." Rena gasped. "But there are people here. Students, doctors. I know." Yaren's jaw tightened. "That's why we must stop it first." The lift doors opened. The tech labs were darker than the upper levels. This area was full of machines, tools, and old data cores stored for future study. Rena looked around carefully. They heard a soft hum. Yaren raised a hand. "It's close." They moved slowly past the machines. Then Rena saw its subject as standing at a glowing terminal, its hands moving fast over the controls. Symbols and lights floated in the air. "It's downloading files," Yaren whispered. Before he could step forward, Subject 2 turned around. "You followed me," it said calmly. "Why?" Yaren stepped in front of Rena. "I want to help you." Subject 2 looked at Rena and her. "She's just a student, weak, scared." Rena felt her face flush, but she didn't speak. "She's stronger than you think," Yaren said. "I don't need help," Subject 2 said. "I don't want to be controlled." "No one's trying to control you," Yaren said. "But you're dangerous right now. You don't understand your power. You could hurt people." Subject 2's eyes glowed brighter. "Then maybe they should stay out of my way." It raised a hand. A pulse of energy pushed Yaren and Rena back. They hit the floor hard. Sparks flew from the machines. The terminal behind Subject 2 exploded, showering the room with light and smoke. Yaren stood up quickly and pulled Rena behind a large console. Rena coughed. "It's too strong," Yaren nodded. "Yes, but it's still learning. Doesn't. No limits yet. Can we stop it?" "I made it," Yaren said quietly. "So maybe I can stop it." He pulled a small silver chip from his coat. "This is a shutdown code, but I have to get close to use it." Rena looked at the chip. "Let me do it." Yaren's eyes widened. "No, it's too risky. I'll expect you," Rena said. "But not me. I'm just a student, remember?" Yaren hesitated. "It's too dangerous." "I'm not as scared as I used to be," Rena said. "You told Mike Wyatt. People see more. Maybe I can do this." Yaren stared at her for a moment. Then slowly he handed her the chip. "You need to place it on the side of its neck." "Right here," he pointed. "It'll shut down the enhanced part of its brain, just enough to stop it." Rena nodded. She stood up slowly, heart pounding. Subject 2 was still near the center of the lab. Looking through broken screens, Rena walked out from behind the console, holding the chip tight in her hand. Subject 2 turned and looked at her. "You came back," it said. She took a deep breath. "You said I was weak." "Yes," it replied. "But maybe being weak means I see things you can't." Subject 2 tilted its head. "Explain." "I've watched people. I've learned that the strongest ones don't always fight. Sometimes they listen. Sometimes they care. You're smart, but you don't understand people yet." Subject 2 blinked, thinking. "Dr. Yaren tried to help you," Rena said. "And I think maybe I want to help you too." She stepped closer. Subject 2 lowered its hand. "You're not afraid?" "I am," she whispered. "But fear doesn't stop me anymore." She stood just in front of it now. Slowly, carefully, she reached up, pressed the chip to its neck. For a second, nothing happened. Then Subject 2's eyes widened. Its body shook. Lights blinked across its arms. It fell to its knees, breathing hard. Its glow dimmed. Yaren ran forward and caught the being before it hit the ground. "You did it," he said to Rena. Subject 2 looked up weakly. "You tricked me." "No," Rena said softly. "I saved you." Later that night, in a quiet room deep inside the station, Subject 2 lay in a special recovery pod. The danger was over for now. Yaren stood beside Rena. "You were brave," he said. "I didn't feel brave," she replied. "You were," he said. "You made a choice. You saved lives." Rena looked at Subject 2 sleeping in the pod. "What will happen to him? I don't know," Yaren said. "But maybe, with time, he'll learn, like you did." Rena nodded. "I want to help." Yaren smiled. "Then stay. There's more to learn, and we're just getting started." As they walked away from the lab, the stars outside the window twinkled like they always had, but Rena knew something had changed. She was no longer just the shy girl from Earth. She was part of something bigger now. Rena walked through the long silver hallway of Station Helios, her steps slow and thoughtful. The bright lights above her head buzzed softly, and the polished floor reflected her image like a mirror. Everything felt different now. 2 days had passed since Subject 2 was stopped. He now rested inside a deep-level chamber, safely watched by both machines and Dr. Yaren. Rena had visited once each day. She wasn't afraid of him anymore. When she looked at him through the glass, she didn't see a monster. She saw someone. Lost someone trying to find meaning. Rena was no longer just a student. People looked at her differently now. Some whispered. Even the robots seemed to treat her more carefully, like she had become someone important. But she didn't feel important. She still felt like herself, quiet, nervous, thinking too much. As she reached the end of the hallway, the door slid open. Yaren was waiting for her in the command room, standing beside a round table filled with blinking lights and floating maps. "They're coming," he said. "Who?" she asked. The Allied Planet Council, he replied. They want answers about the incident. Rena's chest tightened. Do they know about Subject 2? They know part of it, but not everything, Yaren said. They believe it was just a lab accident. What if they find out the truth? Yaren looked serious. If they do, they might shut down Station Helios, or worse, take Subject 2 away. Rena took a deep breath. We can't let that happen. Yaren nodded. That's why I need your help again. Just then, the screen in front of them blinked. A voice spoke from the station system. Council shuttle approaching. Docking in 3 minutes. 3 council. Members arrived shortly after. The first was a tall, thin woman with green skin and long white hair. Her name was Counselor Velen, a scientist from the planet Serana. She studied human behavior closely and didn't trust anything unknown. The second was Counselor Jorn, a short, broad alien with glowing red eyes. He was from a planet known for its warriors and didn't believe in second chances. The third was a quiet man named Counselor Darnell, the only human on the team. He had sharp eyes and spoke little. They sat at the meeting table across from Yaren and Rena. The air was tense. Dr. Yaren, Counselor Velen began. You reported an energy burst in the tech wing and a breach in storage. You did not report. A subject escaping, Yaren answered calmly. The energy came from an unstable project that I've kept under control. It's no longer a threat. Counselor Jorn leaned forward. You mean to say one of your experiments escaped, attacked the station, and you handled it? Alone? Rena wanted to speak, but Yaren held up a hand slightly. I didn't handle it alone, he said. Rena helped. She stopped it. The council members turned to look at her. She's a student, Counselor Velen said. How can a student stop a rogue subject? Rena spoke softly. Because I didn't try to fight it. I listened. I understood it. Didn't want to destroy everything. It wanted to be free. Counselor Darnell finally spoke. And what is it exactly? Yaren took a deep breath. It is subject to a hybrid of human and alien DNA, a result of Project Nova, which I was once part of. The room fell silent. Counselor Jorn's eyes narrowed. That project was shut down, forbidden. No, Yaren said. That's why I hid it. I wanted to guide it, help it become something good. But it woke too soon. Counselor Velen stood up. You hid illegal research? You created a life form with unknown power. Now you ask us to believe it can be trusted. I don't ask for belief, Yaren said. Only time. Let me finish what I started this time, with help, with guidance. If we destroy Subject 2 now, we lose the chance to learn something new. Something that could help all of us. The council members stepped aside to speak privately. Rena looked at Yaren. Do you think they'll say yes? I don't know, he said. But if they say no, we may lose everything. A few minutes. Later, the council returned. Counselor Darnell spoke, his voice quiet but clear. We will allow the subject to remain on Station Helios under strict watch. No more secrets. And if any danger returns, we will act without warning. Yaren nodded. Agreed. Counselor Velen looked at Rena and the girl. She stays, Yaren said quickly. She is part of this now. Velen nodded slowly. Then she carries great responsibility. The council left soon after. The room fell silent once more. Later that night, Rena sat beside the recovery pod, where Subject slept. His face looked peaceful now. The glowing lines on his skin were dim. His chest rose and fell gently. The room was quiet except for the soft beeping of monitors. I don't know what you'll become, Rena whispered, but I hope you'll choose to be kind. She placed her hand gently on the glass. Dr. Yaren entered the room and stood beside her. The council gave us a chance. We must use it well. I will, Rena said. I want to learn more. About him, about everything. You've already learned more than most ever will, Yaren said with a smile. And your voice. It may be the only one he truly listens to. They stood together in silence, watching the sleeping hybrid. Outside the room, the stars continued to shine silent witnesses to the strange and powerful future waiting ahead. Rena no longer felt like just a quiet girl from Earth. She felt like someone who had purpose. The station was calm again. The alarms had stopped. The halls were quiet. But Rena knew peace didn't last forever, especially when a powerful being was sleeping below her feet. Each day, she visited Subject 2 in the recovery chamber. Yaren had built a special room with soft lighting, learning screens, and gentle music. Subject 2 now, called Nova, remained inside a safe, clear pod, where sensors watched his thoughts and body signs. He was stable now, but his mind was still asleep. Rena often brought a chair and sat beside the pod. Sometimes she read aloud. Sometimes she just sat in silence. She wasn't afraid anymore. She was curious. She wanted to know who Nova would become if given a real chance. One day, as she was reading from a science book, a soft beep came from the monitor. Rena looked up. Nova's eyes were open. They glowed gently, not bright like before. He blinked slowly, looking at the glass in front of him. Then his eyes moved to her. "Hello," he said. His voice was soft and clear. Rena stood up quickly, unsure what to say. You're awake." Ove looked around, then back at her. "Where am I?" "You're safe," she said gently. "You're on Station Helios, in the recovery room." Nova closed his eyes for a second. "I remember lights, running, confusion." "You were scared," Rena said. "But you didn't hurt anyone." "Not really." He opened his eyes again. "I felt alone. I still do." "You're not alone anymore," she said. "I'm here. You're in Dr. Yaren too." Nova looked thoughtful. "Yaren, he made me, like a machine." "No," Rena said firmly. "He didn't make a machine. He gave you a chance to live." Nova was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I want to get out. I want to see the stars." Dr. Yaren stood inside the lab, watching the recovery data. When Rena told him Nova had woken, he rushed to the chamber. Now the two stood beside the pod, speaking calmly. Yaren asked simple questions. "Name, memory?" "Feelings," Nova answered each one. "I don't feel anger anymore," he said. "I feel curious." Yaren nodded. "Good, that means the overload is gone. Your mind is balanced now." Nova looked at Rena. "She helped me. When I woke before, I saw only fear. But she didn't run. She sees things others miss," Yaren said. "That's her strength." Nova placed his hand on the glass. "Will you let me out?" Yaren looked at Rena. She nodded. Yaren entered a code, and the pod opened with a soft hiss. Nova stepped out carefully. He wore a soft white suit now, designed to help monitor his health. He looked at his hands, touched the floor with bare feet, and looked up at the ceiling as if seeing the world for the first time. Rena smiled gently. "Welcome." Nova nodded. "Thank you." The next few days were quiet but important. Nova was given a small room with books, learning screens, and puzzles. To test his thinking, he passed every test. Yaren watched closely, but Nova never showed signs of aggression. Rena became his regular visitor. They talked about everything about Earth, about the stars, about human kindness and fear. Nova asked questions like a child, but understood answers. Like a genius. "Why do humans feel sadness?" he once asked. "Because they care," Rena answered. "Sadness means something mattered." Another time, he asked, "Do I have a past?" "You were born in a lab," Rena said. "But what you choose now, that becomes your past." Nova seemed to like that answer. One evening, as they sat near a window watching the stars, Nova asked a question that surprised her. "Can I leave this place someday?" "You mean leave the station?" Rena asked. Nova nodded. "I want to see other worlds. I want to help people, like Yaren, like you." Rena was quiet for a moment. "The council won't allow it yet. They still don't trust you." Nova looked down. "Because I'm different." "No," she said. Because they're afraid. But fear can change." He looked up again. "How?" "By showing them who you really are. You." But not everyone wanted Nova to have that chance. Far above them, in the council's private network, warnings were rising. Some officers on other planets had learned about Subject 2. They called him dangerous, a mistake, a risk that must be erased. One night, a secret message arrived in Station Helios' system. Shut down Project Nova. If not, external force will be used. Dr. Yaren read the message in silence. Then he called Rena. She came quickly, and he showed her the screen. They're going to send a strike team, he said. Not from the council. Private group. Mercenaries. Rena's eyes widened. They want to destroy Nova? You're afraid he'll become something they can't control? Yaren said. They won't wait for permission. We have to warn him. Yaren nodded. We have to protect him. But we can't fight them. They're too strong. Rena thought for a moment. Then she said, Then we don't fight. Yaren looked confused. What do you mean? We hide. That night Rena and Yaren told Nova everything. He listened quietly, then said, I don't want to run. I don't want to hide. You won't be running, Rena said. You'll be choosing to live, Yaren added. We have a small ship, fast. It can take you to the outer edge of the system. There's a research base there, safe, quiet. Nova looked at both of them. Will I be alone? No, Rena said. I'll go with you. Yaren was surprised. Rena, are you sure? She nodded. He needs someone who understands him. And I'm not afraid anymore. Nova looked at her with soft, glowing eyes. You gave me a reason to become more than what I was. I don't want to lose that. Yaren placed a hand on Nova's shoulder. Then go, before they arrive. He handed Rena a small metal card. This has all the medical and project data. Keep it safe. Someday it may help him prove he's more than just a weapon. They nodded. Then quietly in the dark hangar of Station Helios, a small ship left the station. Inside were a quiet girl from Earth, and the galaxy's first living hybrid. The stars ahead were endless, and their story was only just beginning. The stars outside the window moved slowly, like glowing dust across a black sea. Inside the small ship, Rena sat beside Nova in the quiet control room. She watched the screen as they passed through safe zones and hidden routes. The ship was fast, quiet, and hard to track. Yaren had prepared everything perfectly, but Rena knew the danger wasn't over. Far behind them, someone still wanted Nova gone. Nova sat calmly in the pilot's seat. He didn't speak much now. He was thinking about what he was, what he wanted to become, and why people feared him. You okay? Rena asked softly. Nova turned his glowing eyes toward her. I don't understand why they hate me. They don't hate you, Rena said. They fear what they don't understand. You're new. You're different. That scares people. Nova nodded slowly. I don't want to scare anyone. I just want to live. You will, Rena said. We just have to stay quiet. Learn more, grow. Nova looked back at the stars. Do you think I can ever go back? One day, Rena said with a soft smile, when they're ready. Or when you show them you're more than just a project. He didn't reply, but his eyes looked softer. After 2 days of travel, they reached the research base on the edge of the system. It was a quiet place, small, old, and half forgotten. Only a few scientists worked there, studying ancient planets and asteroid samples. Yaren had sent word to a friend there named Mira, a human engineer who trusted him. Mira welcomed them with a warm smile and open arms. I've read Yaren's files, she told Rena. I don't know if Nova is a hero or a danger, but I trust. Yaren, and I trust you. Nova bowed his head slightly. Thank you for giving me a place. Mira gave him a room and set up a safe space where he could continue learning. She gave Rena access to the base's systems and old research notes. Life on the base was slow but peaceful. Nova spent hours reading, meditating, and learning languages from across the galaxy. Rena helped him understand human culture stories, art, kindness. In return, Nova helped Rena grow braver. She no longer hid in corners or stayed silent in meetings. Her voice became strong and full of purpose. Mira often said, "You're not just a girl from Earth anymore. You're a guide." One evening, a soft alarm rang across the base. Rena rushed to the control room. Myra stood at the screen frowning. "A ship just entered the outer zone," she said. "No name, no ID." Nova joined them. "They found us." Mira nodded. "Could be mercenaries, could be worse." Rena looked at Nova. "We have to hide." "No," Nova said. "We can't run forever." "But they'll destroy you," Rena said. "They won't listen." Nova looked calm. Then I'll make them listen. He stepped forward and pressed the button to open the base's outer gate. Let them come. I won't fight, but I won't hide. An hour later, a dark ship landed outside the base. 3 armored soldiers stepped out. Their suits were heavy, their weapons large. Their helmets showed no faces. They entered the base quietly. Nova waited near the center, standing with hands at his side. Rena and Mira stayed behind a safety wall. Watching through a screen, the lead soldier stepped forward. "Subject 2, he said. His voice was rough. "You are marked for shutdown." Nova didn't move. "Why, you are unstable. You are not human. You are a risk." Nova spoke clearly. "I've hurt no one. I've learned. I've changed. I only want peace." The soldier raised his weapon. "We can't take that chance." Then, from the back of the room, a voice rang out. "Then take me first." It was Rena. She walked forward, standing between Nova and the soldier. "Move aside," the soldier warned. "No," Rena said. "He's not what you think. He's not a weapon. He's not a mistake. He's proof that something new is possible." "He's a threat," the soldier said again. "Only if you make him one," Rena said. "But if you give him a chance, just like people gave Mule, see what I see." The soldier was silent. Then he lowered his weapon. "He has 5 minutes," he said. "Convince us." In those 5 minutes, Nova did not argue. He spoke of what he had learned about life, about kindness, about the value of peace. He told them about his dreams, his thoughts, his desire to understand others instead of harm them. He spoke not like a machine, but like a soul. The soldiers listened, and when the 5 minutes ended, the leader looked at the others and nodded. "Keep him here. Monitor him. Report progress. No weapons. No harm." Then they left. No shots fired. No threats made, just silence and a new beginning. Weeks passed. The story spread quietly, first to Helios, then to Earth, then across colonies. The tale of the shy human girl who protected the first hybrid and the hybrid who chose peace. People began to ask questions. Could Nova help solve medical problems? Could his mind unlock secrets in science? Could someone like him be trusted? And slowly, very slowly, fear began to fade. Dr. Yaren visited one day. He hugged Rena and smiled at Nova. "You've done more than I ever could," he said. Nova smiled back. "Because I wasn't alone." Rena stood beside him, no longer shy, no longer hiding. She had become a voice that reached beyond fear. 1 year later, Rena stood on a platform beside Nova, behind them. A new center was being opened, the Nova Institute. It was a place for hybrids, humans, and aliens to learn together. A place where fear and misunderstanding would be replaced with trust and discovery. Reporters asked questions. Rena answered with calm words. Nova spoke only a little, but his presence was enough. And as the ribbon was cut, the stars above them blinked gently, as if nodding in approval. A shy girl had changed the galaxy, not with power, not with noise, but with patience, understanding, and courage.